Here we are.
Here we are.
Live again.
I'm wearing my Shoot a Three Coward t-shirt that I got from a Celtics blog years ago.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Sick.
Anybody know any jokes?
No.
No.
That one.
It's your whole fucking job, isn't it?
No.
Write me a joke. Writer.
No. No.
Okay.
Oh, let me get the box scores ready. This is
Oh,
good
yeah.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta make sure I can.
They got to make sure we get the box score.
Yeah, you gotta be able to look at the stats.
Uh-huh.
Let's get those. Make sure the Raptors game's in there. That's important.
Uh-huh.
My first sim on Tankathon, we got one.
Oh, there you go.
Beautiful.
It's worth
Okay.
something.
I don't know if I might die by then.
Okay. Let me get the box score to the Bucks game.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go all the way back.
Wait a minute. What are
Super
we
Bowl
doing
Bucks
here?
game.
The box score of the Bucks game? What are we doing here?
Let's get
what
it
pod
ready.
are we doing?
Let's get it ready. Okay.
Oh, I gotta get, actually, hold on. I want to give credit to the guy that did the new embarrassing. Hold on. Before we go. No. Hold on. Just wait 1 minute. I can't get rid of this cough. I feel like I'm gonna die.
Was it a flu?
There it is. No, it was just a cold. It wasn't COVID, wasn't flu. It like the hard part of it lasted a week, but now like the cough has been there an extra 9 days or whatever. It's really only bad at night, but that sucks. It's like, why should it be bad at night? I'm not sick anymore. So it's like, what the fuck? The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. And brought to you by MortgageCS. Become a MortgageCS Ricky VIP by going to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. BodyBio. Get 20% off anything at bodybio.com with promo code Norman. And Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe. Subscribe at rightstrickysanchez.com/newsletter. On the show today, what if I were to tell you before the season that the Sixers are 20-34 and don't have anybody in the All-Star game, and somehow it's worse than that? That's what this season is. Somehow I gave you that description, and it's worse. Here we go. Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka. Well, it's just the best. The Sixers are the worst, but Surfside is the best. Because if you want a canned alcoholic beverage that is just the right amount of sweetness, it tastes great, only has 100 calories, only 3 grams of sugar. And what if I were to tell you that there are several different varieties that taste great? The regular iced tea and vodka, the green tea and vodka, the raspberry tea and vodka, the peach tea and vodka. What if I were to tell you all those things, all that, and it doesn't have any fucking carbonation in it because iced tea is not supposed to have bubbles? That is called Surfside. You can get it anywhere, you know. And PA now, you don't have to go to a liquor store. You can go to a beer distributor, wherever they sell alcohol, grocery store, gas station, whatever. And if you don't feel like leaving your house, that's okay too. Just go to statesidevodka.com and you can get it there. But you've got to be 21 because those are the rules. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rice Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy whose favorite team won the Super Bowl Sunday, but he is still embarrassed. That is one Mike Levin.
Man, it is such a singular feeling
To be so
when,
embarrassed.
when the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Take down a near dynasty.
Yep.
Do it in fashion that will make me excessively happy every time I think about it for
Kick
the rest of my
grasses
life.
all over the field.
Just blew them the fuck out.
Yep. No chance.
And then
Watched.
knowing that
Yeah.
I gotta watch that Bucks game that the Sixers lost,
Uh-huh.
that they played earlier that day. Gotta remember to do that.
Shout out Hubie Brown.
And then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And then two straight losses to two of the worst teams in the league.
Yes, they're trying to lose actively.
That are actively trying to lose. And this has been one of the worst seasons in sports history. This has been the Sixers equivalent, I think probably worse than the Vince Young Eagles dream team.
I would say so.
It could not be going worse.
Feels
it just
similar.
could not. At the end of the day, if you had scripted it, it could not be going worse. They lose 7 games in a row. They get embarrassed by Denver. In Denver, lose by 40.
Yep.
They go ahead and win 4 games in a row, 2 of which were the second hand on back-to-back.
Yeah.
They beat the Cavs.
Yep. Best team in the East.
Who had lost like 6 games at that point.
Yep.
Then they beat the Bulls, the Lakers, and the Kings. And the Kings were hot at that point as well. And the Lakers have been pretty good lately.
Yep.
And then they go and lose 7 out of 8.
Yep.
And now they are 20-34 going into the All-Star break. 20-34, tied with the Brooklyn Nets for the 6th worst record in basketball.
And it's worse than that.
And it's couldn't be worse.
Yeah.
Everything is absolutely horrendous. We can talk about the game. I got some stuff to say, blah, blah, blah. But like, just truly, there is nothing redeeming about this team, this organization, the franchise at the moment. They should all feel, get ready,
Yes.
so embarrassed.
Oh, yeah, Mike?
I hate that. I was in a bad place. It's just so embarrassing. These fucking losers, like, live it. I cannot believe it. Underaccelerate! I cannot believe it. I'm so bad. That was such a joke. That was such a fucking joke. All right, it's just over. Just take it. It's just over. My life. We've done this to ourselves.
That's the darker one.
I kind of can't really hear the words at all, but I like the thought of it.
Yeah, here's the other
They
one.
should be embarrassed. Gross. I'm embarrassed. It's egregious. Pathetic. Embarrassing. Awful. It's really, really bad. It's so frustrating. Everybody should be a little embarrassed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd like to thank everyone for the embarrassing music.
Thank you. Yeah, we have plenty of reasons to be embarrassed, and we'll have more time for everybody to take their pass at a new little jingle for us of why this is so embarrassing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I like a number of players on this team,
Yes.
which is frustrating.
We're not
but like
being embarrassing.
the
Like
team
Oubre and
as a
Yabusele.
team,
Yes.
as a collective,
Yes.
they are massive losers. There has never been they have last year's Eagles, the level of certainty that I feel in the Eagles losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in last year's playoffs is like consistently how I feel about this current Sixers team, who was also favored the last 2 nights and lost. And it's just like Maxey, aside from being scoreless until the end of the third quarter last night against Toronto, has been mostly very good after a rough start, mostly great after a rough start to the season.
last 6 weeks, I would
Yeah.
say. Yep.
But like between Joel and Paul George and Nick Nurse,
Loser,
they
loser.
ultimately like all have to be so much better. And there's some rotation guys I like some of them on both ends, but like those 3 entities need to perform so much better than they have. Obviously the season is over. But like if this franchise ever wants to have hope of winning anything, like you're going to need them to be better than they have been. It is hideous. I think Embiid should be shut down for the season. I think Paul George should be shut down for the season. If Maxey is his knee to knee thing, whatever that was, a contusion, whatever they're saying it is. If that's any level of severity, shut him down for as long as possible. The goal for this season now, they are 14 games under 500 at the All-Star break. They should try to lose as many games at once. They should buy out Kyle Lowry. They should beg Eric Gordon to buy them out. I don't know if he can buy him out because he's got a team option for next season. If there's a way to decline that now, anything you can do, pay Eric Gordon more money so he doesn't take next season. Give Josh Harris should just be like giving money of his own pocket.
Give him my money from the podcast. Give him my money from the podcast.
That's fine. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. They need to like a sort of some sort of like fucking exorcist needs to come in and like exhume the team, get them all out, everything you can do to get them out if there's any hope of the future of doing anything. But like right now,
can I say
the worst team of all time and really should try to lose games all over and never should be seen on television again. I'm not even saying anything. I'm so this fucking making us waste time. All right, you go. I'll stop. Sorry.
I think shutting Joel Embiid and Paul George down for the season is too generous to them. Like, I think they should have to play. Truthfully, they are 30 and 34 years old, both first ballot Hall of Famers who have both decided that this year isn't worth like trying for.
You think Paul George is first ballot? I don't think he's first ballot Hall of Famer.
I think he is. It's not NBA Hall of Fame, it's basketball. Like everybody gets in. I think he is. He's been on 10 All-Star teams.
He's been on 10 All-Star teams?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
I think he's been all NBA 4 or 5 times. Like he's definitely Hall of Fame. Right, whatever it is. I want to like take a step back from the strategic thing about, which I understand what you're saying, to get the better draft pick for next year, and just think about like, I don't want to jump all. Do you want to talk about the game, or do you just want me to say what I think?
I think we should keep going all over the place. There's no reason this team has to be like, fucking structured. There's no structure to their offense or defense. Why would there be structure to this fucking stupid ass podcast?
So, skipping back to Sunday when
every 10 minutes. Sorry, can CJ? Can you just pop in and just say the Eagles won the Super Bowl? Can you just like pop up
just as a reminder,
just to say it?
Do it once.
The Eagles did win the Super Bowl.
Thank you so much. Okay,
second one. We have 2 now. Like if somebody says, "Hey, do you remember when the Eagles won the Super Bowl?" You get to say which time.
Yeah,
nice. Unbelievable. 10 years ago, the answer was 0, and now the answer is 2.
How lucky are we? All right, back to the bad stuff.
All right, yeah. So to take you back to Sunday when Lisa Salter said that Joel Embiid told her that he might need surgery in the offseason and to be rehab for a really long time. Which, by the way, if the Eagles weren't playing in the Super Bowl that day, the Sixers with the biggest stroke of luck in PR history to just nobody gives a fuck, right?
Yeah. I don't give a fuck now, by the way.
Without getting into, which I'm sure we will at some point, what he was likely really saying, I'm so over this dumb shit, which I know we always hear like emanates from Embiid and his like dumb, his whatever reasons he has for saying what he says and acting the way he acts and doing what he does.
Yeah, just says shit.
It's just fucking dumb. The whole thing is so silly and unprofessional and disrespectful of everyone who spends their time or money or energy following the team. And then you got to run around going, well, what did he really mean? Or did he really mean this? Or did he really mean that? And then when he comes back, he's like half there and not half there, but he says he's okay. He's not. Like, he, as a person, if he doesn't want to play basketball and try to win a championship, he should retire. And if he won't retire, they should just trade him in the offseason, because this whole thing, like everyone, like the management, everybody's like responsible for this. The fact that they're not allowed to just come out and go, no, he was fucking lying, or any of this stuff, or this bullshit where he shows up an hour before the game or a half an hour before the game and they don't know if he's going to play, and like blah, 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 blah. I don't care how good he is. This shit won't work. And I think a lot of the issues are downstream of that.
Yeah.
Like if the whole team, and I'm not letting anyone off the hook, I promise you, we will skewer Paul George at some point, and Nick Nurse. I promise everybody's getting skewered, but it's all downstream of the fact that that the entire, and Daryl Morey said this in his press conference the other day, the entire team is structured and based around this guy being a top 5 player in the league. And he carries himself and acts in a way that is just so unbecoming of a player who could ever lead anyone to a championship. I can understand why that sort of horrible energy would drench the team, and make it almost impossible for them to be what they could be. I do think that the players that are there with Paul George and Maxey, even without Embiid, could reasonably be a 500 team. I don't see any reason why they couldn't be.
Of course, yeah.
There are plenty of 500 teams. But when the point is to be a champion because of him being in the center of it, and it just seems so... and I am empathetic and sympathetic to the injuries he's been through and so on and so forth. But he's still here to play basketball and getting paid $50 million a year to do so. And if he's not interested in doing this the right way, then he just shouldn't do it anymore, or they shouldn't put it up with it anymore. Because I don't care how talented he is, unless he acts in a way that is becoming of what a champion acts like, it's never going to work anyway. That Sunday was so frustrating to me. It's so dumb. And then you got to follow up and figure, well, what the fuck did he mean when he said this? And then, you know what I mean? I think it's just all downstream of that energy.
Yeah. All the problems compound each other. Every single problem of the Sixers compounds itself into it. And you can look at Joel as Daryl thinks of him as the sun that everything all orbits around. And that is both the case when the Sixers are good and the case when the Sixers are bad. And you get the pros and very real cons of this. So this MOC line, we'll go to the ad break in a second, but MOC line from his last article: for the first time in Joel's entire career, including his rookie year when the team won 28 games, the Sixers have a negative net rating when Embiid is on the floor. Last year, the Sixers went 31-8 in his 39 games. 31-8 with Tobias Harris here. 31-8. This year, in his 17 games now, they are 8-9. Embiid's decline in overall impact is obvious both with the eye test and the stats. The team has a better net rating with Gershon Yabusele at center than they do with Joel. So, yeah, I think for years we've, apologized for Joel's behavior or looked past it or been is he the perfect guy to build around? No, but he's good enough that it's worth it. He won an MVP, finished that a couple times, whatever. And now he's not good enough. He's injured. He's not good enough. He's not playing at the level that he had been playing. And the Sixers are struggling because of that. And they're struggling for other reasons. And those reasons compound each other. It used to be that he was good enough that you'd put up with the other stuff. And right now he isn't. And it's embarrassing. And they should all feel embarrassed. And they should take a little bit more pride in whatever the fuck they're doing here, because history is looking on them as the some of the most pathetic losers of all time.
Well, and first I'll talk about MortgageCS, and then I'll wrap that up, and then we can get to the other stuff. MortgageCS is actually good. They're not losers. They're not embarrassing. They help you get a mortgage so you can buy a house. Buying a house is a pain in the ass right now because there's not a lot of houses out there, right? So you need every advantage you can get. And having a mortgage broker, independent mortgage broker, attentive, communicative, always there mortgage broker like MortgageCS is a huge advantage. Having someone that has enough staff and is taking on enough work to be able to answer you at a moment's notice, which is what MortgageCS does, that's not like other mortgage brokers. Other mortgage brokers, having dealt with other mortgage brokers in the past, before I knew about MortgageCS, they're you're chasing them down or you get one-word emails back, and that's not the way MortgageCS operates. So if you've never bought a house, I'm telling you, this is a huge, huge difference. If you have, think about your other experience with mortgage brokers and give MortgageCS a try. It's different. So if you're going to buy a house in 2025, I would reach out to MortgageCS now, even if you're not thinking till the spring or the summer or even the fall. The market is going to be crazy this spring and summer, and the more prepared you are, the better. And MortgageCS can help you with that. Also, it's good to know you don't really need 20% down to buy a house. So MortgageCS can help you buy a house regardless of what funds you have for a down payment. They can help you with that as well. They've helped a lot of Ricky listeners in the houses that they're renting actually buy those houses. And the other thing to know is that if you're waiting for mortgage rates to drop, it's like a very unpredictable market right now. So that is not the thing to do. Again, reach out to MortgageCS. They are the people that can help you get that house. And if down the line you want to refinance, you can use them for that. I said they're there at all times, and I'll prove it to you. Ben, the CEO, this is his cell phone number. He will respond to you, unless he's sleeping. 267-391-7425. 267-391-7425. Every Ricky listener who has reached out to us and gone to MortgageCS has had excellent things to say. I am currently going to use them to buy my next house when we move back home, which is soon, hopefully. MortgageCS.com/Ricky is where you go. You can learn all about them. You can set up a consultation there if you want, or you can just call or text your CEO, Ben, whenever you want, 267-391-7425. Don't believe me? I can understand it. Just Google them, see all the 5-star reviews. That will help your cause as well. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. MortgageCS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS 1464766. Visit MortgageCS.com/Ricky for more information. Paul George tonight it reminded me of, do you remember Spencer Hawes's last game with the Sixers?
Yeah, of course. We talk about it all the time.
Yeah. And Zach Lowe wrote a line in his article about that game, and he called Spencer Hawes's performance in that game a masterpiece of not giving a fuck. And that is what Paul George looked like tonight. There's people that like call him washed, and that is actually, I understand why you would say it, but that is actually not what's happening out there. What's happening is that he has completely given up and is just running from one side to the other, catching the ball when it's passed to him, occasionally passing it out, and sometimes shooting a step back three. But he has completely decided that he plays with that splint on his pinky finger more than he does anything else while he's out there.
Yeah, there's no reason for him to be on the team or play this season. If his finger hurts him that much that he's this player, then he needs to just sit the rest of the year. Don't even come to games. Don't worry about it. Everybody just go on vacation. You're still getting paid. No reason to show up. It is. He obviously can't carry a team anymore. Maybe not even for short spurts, which is what we were hoping for. And the finger, I'm sure, is affecting him. But there just hasn't been enough sustained stretches of Paul George even close to a number one option at all this year. He didn't score in the first half. No Maxey, no Embiid. All right, Paul, now's your time to do it. You feel like you're being a little bit sidelined when you're playing with the three of them. Their offensive, this is from Rich Hoffman, their offensive rating with the three of them together is 111.3, which is 32nd percentile. That's
not good, right?
32nd percentile with the three of them on the floor. And their defensive rating with the three of them, 120, which is 28th in the NBA.
That doesn't sound good either. Is that
That's
good?
not good either. And so when you don't score in the first half in a game when you're the number one option, and almost all of the shots you take are bad contested shots, you're not getting any space to take them off. You're not beating anybody off by the dribble. Everything is contested, difficult twos that he didn't take any foul shots. All his offense is so slow and disinterested looking. The moment late in the game, I think it was a 6-point game, Cam Johnson rips it away from him, gets a fast break dunk. That ended up being the dagger, even though Quentin Grimes did a admirable job trying to fight them back into it.
Yep.
Yeah, but every time, man, PG gets doubled top of the key. You're like, oh, great. Thank you for doubling Paul George top of the key. We should get an easy look out of it, like Brooklyn did over and over and over again in this game. Oh, you doubled. Pick a guy, D'Angelo Russell. Anybody gets doubled at the top of the key, they pass to a rolling big, whether it's Trendon Watford or Day'Ron Sharpe or anybody, and they get either a dunk or an open three out of it, every single time. It's really obvious basketball. It is stunning how bad this team is at just quickly diagnosing what's happening, getting the ball in the right place, and getting an easy look out of it. Every other team in the NBA does it except for the Sixers. And PG gets doubled. He backs it out instead of getting it out to a teammate quick. And then he airmails a pass over Kelly Oubre for a turnover, which is just pathetic for a guy his age, pathetic for a guy at his skill level. embarrassing stuff. And yeah, he still makes enough plays on defense where you can say, okay, he's still like kind of a plus defensively. Like he has that block on D'Angelo Russell, but he's just also so casual, so low energy. And just like it trickles down from Embiid to the rest of the team, it trickles down from Paul George to the rest of the team. It infects the rest of the team. These two guys as your best players. Maxey, I think, is obviously like plays his ass off, plays hard, but is also affected and a little bit annoyed that you see what you saw with Oubre in that Embiid scrap from a couple games ago.
Yeah.
And you see it with Maxey sometimes where he's just like, I'm playing my ass off. I'm playing like 40 minutes a night and like there's a loose ball and like the bigs don't even get it. Like, oh, there's a rebound and it gets tipped out because they're not paying attention. This whole team just like walks towards defensive rebounds instead of attacking them or boxing out. And that means Bobby Portis or TJ McConnell or fucking Hubie Brown can just get up there and tip it out. Paul George stands next to Nick Claxton tonight as he gets the easiest tip dunk of all time. It is just like over and over again, the effort level of this team. Obviously, they miss shots. Obviously, sometimes you miss shots. Obviously, sometimes the other team makes shots. But the effort level of this team compared to every single other team they play against is constantly slow, lackadaisical, weak, soft bullshit. And it is really, really hard to build your team around where two of the highest paid guys, Embiid and Paul George, are way too often fucking slow and soft and whiny and feeling bad for themselves. Season's over. Season is so over. Yeah. Maybe the era is over.
Yeah.
But the season is definitely over. And those guys should sit the rest of the season and say, like, go heal up, go do some mental fucking wellness retreats, whatever you got to do. People like the Sixers always say, well, it's like, well, but Joel's knee actually needs to get used to it and he needs to play through it and stuff. I don't give a shit. The current version of Joel, just go play like against the Sixers assistant coaches in the practice facility then. Like, there's no reason to air this. Like there's like network standards. You shouldn't be able to air this. It is truly pathetic. The Raptors broadcast said they play like they're strangers. The Raptors broadcast said the Sixers play like they're strangers. They're slow and tentative and like deliberate, like they have a 45-second shot clock. Like, why is Justin Edwards bringing the ball up? Everybody's healthy. Justin Edwards bringing the ball up. And they hound him and he turns it over. No offense to Justin Edwards. He's an undrafted rookie who just got bumped up to a standard deal. Yeah. He doesn't have the handle to do that. Like, do you know how easy it is for other teams to get like
he's not even a guard. He's not even a guard. You know what I mean? Like his job is never to bring the ball up.
But they're like, but Nick Nurse is like, okay, so we have to get into our system, and it takes so fucking long, and it's slow, and it's painful. It's so easy for other teams to get open on penetration because there's not enough guys on this team that either can defend a point of attack or give a shit enough to actually get in a stance and defend a point of attack. But other teams just get wide open on penetration. Every Sixer feels massively swarmed at all times. Like there's 6 guys out there on the other team. And then on the Sixers defense, it's like, oh, one pass, easiest shot you've ever seen. Constant miscommunication, easiest shit you've ever seen. It is really like some of the worst basketball I've ever seen. And it's hard to imagine this Sixers team ever winning a game again. I mean, Embiid passing up a wide open 3 at the end in Toronto, pathetic, embarrassing, horrendous decision making. If you miss it, whatever. But to drive in,
you're wide the fuck open.
You're wide the fuck open. You're down 2. You drive in, or you're down 3. It doesn't matter.
No, they were down 2 because then there was a foul after, and the guy made 1
or 2, and they could have champed. You're right. Yeah. They were down 2, and so it's just if you miss it, whatever, you miss it. But like to drive in, lose control of the ball, and then stand there as they score, as they easily advance the ball and get fouled. Like good for the fans booing him. He doesn't have it anymore. Maybe he never will, but like certainly not going to have it this season. I really, 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 I cannot express how much I would love for this team to not make the play-in and not have to fucking subject us to playing the Hawks or the Bulls in a 1-game playoff and going like maybe, and even if they win that game because like once in a while the stars in this team show up.
Yeah, because there's a chance they win that game. That's the problem.
Well, right now, I truly don't think they can win a game against anybody. Yeah, which is how I felt about the Eagles last year. And they won. And I know, CJ, you haven't said it in a while. I would like to hear it from you.
Yeah, CJ, what's your job here?
The Eagles season is over because they won the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's good. That's great. Okay. Last season was so bad. Yeah. And so maybe there's hope of that kind of thing. I don't feel it right now. We'll wait till the offseason to feel any hope. But like, truly, it just needs to end. You just need to stop trying to do this. And if you want Nick Nurse to coach out the rest of the season, fine. I don't give a shit. But like, it's clear that he is not even close to a solution on this team.
Yeah,
even close.
I would say this about Nick Nurse. It's possible he's a good coach. It's possible that the situation is like unfixable for him, but he's not turning this around.
No,
do you know what I mean?
And he's been harmful. He's been harmful in a lot of ways. Like
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, he's been harmful. Like Kyle Lowry still getting minutes in this team when he's like clearly hasn't had it for months and months. He's covering against the Bucks. Do you remember this play against the Bucks? He's guarding the inbounds play at the end of the first quarter with like, I don't know, 3 seconds left or something at the end of the first quarter under the the Bucks basket. He's guarding the inbounds, and Lowry's guarding it because he's so small and so unathletic, they throw over his head to the middle of the court to Kyle Kuzma, who hits a layup out of it. And you never see that pass because usually on an NBA court, that guy is tall enough to where the gap between that player's hands, whether he's jumping or not, and the underside of the backboard doesn't exist. There's not enough space to get a pass off there. But because Lowry is so small and so unathletic now and so patently washed, why is he covering the inbounds? They give up an open look out of it, and it's just like so embarrassing. Like, Nick Nurse makes mistakes over and over again with this team. They are so horribly coached. And maybe they just like don't listen to him when he's trying to do stuff and whatever, but like the guys don't listen to you. So like, you got to go. Somebody's got to go.
Yeah, like it could also be a function of who's available night to night. And like, I am willing to say, you might not be, I am willing to say that I think it is more than likely that Nick Nurse is probably a good coach. That's what I'm saying.
He certainly has been a good coach.
Yes. And I'm also willing to say that if the situation were different, maybe he would have done a good job. I think he did a good job last year overall, given the circumstance.
Embiid improved as a passer. Yeah.
Yep. They outperformed what their roster was. It was just like spare parts, Maxey and Embiid. I thought overall, given the situation, Embiid only played 39 games last year. I thought overall, given the situation, he did a good job last year. But sometimes things just crumble in a way that make it, it is inconceivable to me that the team at any point in the future with a lot of these same players, by the way, next year, you would assume the core will be the same, that Nick Nurse will be the one. Like they seem to actively dislike him at this point, or the energy is so bad. Yeah. And if you're going to keep the players, you have to change the energy in some way. And Nick Nurse is going to have to be part of that, I think. I don't think there's any way that he survives.
Yeah, you just got to do something. You just got to do something. And the easiest thing to do is just like pull the fire the coach lever. And he hasn't he hasn't done enough to stay. This has been such go for it. I'm just going to keep going and saying this.
See, was what I said before when we started. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by LL Pavorsky Jewelers. Mike, Valentine's Day is fucking Friday, the same day as the parade. And if you haven't gotten anything for Valentine's Day, maybe you want to propose on Valentine's Day.
At the parade. That would be cool, depending on who you're proposing to. I mean, I suppose that person would be at the parade with you, so maybe they'd be down with it. In any case, LL Pavorsky, whether it's Valentine's Day or any other day, that's where you go for an engagement ring. He is the first sponsor of the Ricky. He is the OG. He is 10 times better looking than when he started advertising on the Ricky. And that's not an insult. He was good looking then. Over 430 Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners have purchased engagement rings from LL Pavorsky. We don't know how many actually got engaged. We'd hope most of them, but every single one of them was happy with that purchase. And then once you get that engagement ring from LL, you got a guy for jewelry. You're totally set moving forward. Why is it better? It's better because you're going to get one-on-one service. You're not going to get pressured. You're going to get a good price. You're going to get great product. And you're going to get a guy who truly cares that when you walk out that door with the engagement ring that you bought, that you are thrilled with it. He does it for everybody. So here's what you want to do. If you want to get an engagement ring from Lee, give him a call because he does appointment only. That way he can have everything ready for you when you walk in. It's great. Give him a call, 215-627-2252, or
tweet at him at LL Pavorsky, or send him an email at lee@llpavorsky.com. He is a generous supporter of our charitable efforts with Mama T's Community Fridge and Providence Animal Center. LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
The season is over, but diamonds are forever.
Oh, there it is. There you go. There you go.
The frustrating thing, among many other ones, is that like when I was screaming at Andrew Unterberger, pleading with him to see logic and reason, which he refused to do, it was still before, I guess the trade deadline podcast afterwards. But when things happened before the trade deadline, it was like, okay, we can still do something out of this. We can still sell off enough parts to where we can get something out of it. But the fact that the trade deadline, even though I think Quentin Grimes was a wonderful pickup and they are going to have to sign him to a long-term deal, otherwise, like I should be put on a watch list or something, is a better fit than Caleb Martin for sure, and is younger and has just as much like athletic juice, and the shot is really helpful. He was great tonight, Quentin Grimes. Yeah. But like the fact that Eric Gordon's still on this team is insane to me. You got to assume that the fact that he has a player option for next year is like a big part of it. But like,
or he's a player option.
He has like at the minimum.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but still a player option. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well, Markel Shams reporting Markel agrees to a deal with the Sacramento Kings.
Oh, there you go.
Good for Markel. But like the fact, like to not get more out of the deadline. Well, to get like a couple young guys who I like, obviously Jared Butler I like, obviously I'm excited about like Chuma and David Roddy, big body David Roddy, the boat in his gut, being here on 10 days. That's relatively fun. I want to see those guys play major minutes now because when you bench Embiid and Paul George for the season, hopefully, and Maxey for as long as you need him to be. But it just like wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. I didn't think you needed to trade Paul George this deadline because like I don't think you could have gotten much for him. I think there will be a time in the future where he will be like closer to positive value or something, or someone else will have a distressed asset that fits better here or has more energy, whatever. Yeah, it just didn't happen. The deadline was leading up to the deadline. I was like, let's tank. We could still do something with this. And now the deadline afterwards, I'm just like, all right, so now let's just sit here. Let's just sit here and like look at what you've done.
Well, okay. Two things. First of all, we did get a funny email about Eric Gordon. This came from Pedro. Writes RickySanchez@gmail.com. Hey, Spike, Mike, and CJ. As good as Mike's Eric Gordon rant was, I must point out the cognitive dissonance. Mike can't complain about the Sixers not training Gordon while at the same time pointing out correctly that he's been awful, save for 1 month hot streak before the trade deadline that fools no one. Gordon is a 36-year-old.
It should have fooled someone. It should have.
I think
he was shooting 55% for the month or 2 months or whatever.
He said no team will trade anything for him, especially since it's obvious he's miserable and wants out. He's a
mid-second. That's all I'm asking for. We traded 3 second-round picks for George Hill. So the amount of second-round picks that got traded like across the board for someone. So I think.
Here's the thing about the deadline now. Here's the thing about the deadline, and you and AU's like debate over it. Ultimately, they weren't going to go much further either way anyway. They did trade Caleb Martin, which seems like a sell move, right? I mean, we wanted them to hold on to Yabusele, I think. That way they could re-sign him. He's more valuable re-sign next year than a second-round pick.
Yeah, and now they just got to keep both of those guys.
Yeah, the only thing that I guess they could have done would have been trade Oubre, but that's just like a second-round pick. I'd rather have Oubre. So I did see both of your points. It's obvious at this point, like nothing's going to happen with this team. I don't think outside of trading Paul George, there was a major further sell they could have done.
Yeah, you're probably right.
You know, and they're in the same. Yeah. As long as they keep losing, they're going to be in the same place anyway. The Embiid shutdown thing is within 10 days. Like it is staring us in the fucking face. The Embiid shutdown.
But they keep contending that. I shouldn't even say contending. They keep saying.
Use that
claiming
word.
Contending doesn't get, we don't get to say that.
Yeah.
They keep saying that like he needs to play. He needs to play to get used to it.
You're right.
And I even though I would just love to just be like, hey, the season is over. It's been so over for so long.
Playing and getting his knee more used to whatever it is will help.
For sure. But you know what the thing about humans is that there's other parts of Joel to injure when he plays.
Yeah.
So let's not injure those other parts.
Yeah.
If he has to get used to playing on the knee, then like do it in like a contained environment when guys aren't just like diving headfirst. He takes such a fucking beating. And he reverted to being like such a slow decision maker. He gets fucking triple teamed in Toronto. He can't get the ball out quick enough. Fucking some big guy in Toronto who I don't even really know, which is crazy. Ties him up, and then Joel lands on his elbow and like bends it backwards. Like, and then Joel once again holding his elbow and stuff. Like we just don't need to do it. And they keep going to zone to be like, let's protect Embiid from having to go out and guard the perimeter, because he's most helpful guarding the rim, but he's not even really guarding the rim that much, and he's not getting contested rebounds.
No.
And it's just like, well, then what are we doing anything for? Like, it's so over in such like a startling, like when you look at like a fireworks display that's like alarmingly close, you're like, wow, that is in my face. Why is it happening? It is dangerously over. My house is on fire. It's over. It's just bad, dude. It is fucking bad. I hate this season. It is the worst season ever. I both would love for them to get into the bottom six. Right now, they're tied for the sixth, which means is about a coin toss if they keep their pick or not.
Yeah,
they don't have to jump if they're the sixth spot. But they could go down to 5. Toronto is going to have Brandon Ingram back. They could just win games by accident.
Sure.
Soon. So getting down to 5 would make it like well above a
By the way,
50%
what's
chance.
Toronto doing? What a weird.
Yeah, I talked about that with AU. It's like seems kind of very bizarre. But yeah, I don't know. I only have eyes for how fucking stupid we are. But
yeah,
I can say some nice things about the other guys if you want.
Do you want to talk about the Super Bowl for a minute?
Let me get a couple other things out. Let me get Super Bowl, because I don't want to go back to the Sixers after we get to the Super Bowl. I do want to talk about Hubie Brown though.
I want to introduce it with a voicemail requesting
great,
it, and
great.
I think that's worth it. Yeah.
Jared Butler, he's just a good player, man. He's just a good, solid player. He's immediately the best passer on the team.
You know what he reminds me of? The process days when we had never seen a point guard.
Yeah.
And he shows up and you're like, oh, he is, wow, look how functional this guy is. That's what he reminds me of.
He's so solid. He finishes with 9 assists tonight. I am kind of flummoxed why he's not a better shooter, because he was a great shooter in college, and I guess maybe the range is affecting him, but he should, like, he needs to be, in order to be like a legitimate NBA player, like he needs to shoot high 30s from deep, and right now he's not there. But he's so impressive around the rim. He's such good balance. He uses his eyes so well as a passer. Like one time he looked a defender off and then threw a backdoor pass to Oubre for a dunk. It really is just like such a relief when he has ball in his hands. You know, it's quick hands, like slaps it down, gets a bunch of steals out of it, and great anticipation on defense and on the glass. There were a couple moments he like tried to do too much tonight, and I think the Sixers team is not used to having guys pass to them in those kinds of ways, so they weren't expecting it. There's a good line from Dan Ollinger in his column about Jared Butler at Baylor, who's Danny said is one of his favorite players, and is also one of my favorite players to watch in college in a long time. That he was too slippery and crafty for defenders to keep in front of him, and he shot 41.6% from 3 and excellent passing vision to boot. He just always knew how to make good plays. He knew how to get buckets. He knew how to make defenses pay for overcommitting their resources to him. He knew how to move off ball. He knew how to survive on defense, which in total could be summed by saying he knew how to be a winning basketball player. I totally agree with that. I'm glad he's on the team. I think they're going to bump him up to a standard contract at some point.
Yeah, I like him.
He's just like really solid.
Mm-hmm. Grimes. I like Grimes.
Grimes is awesome. It was good to see him. He shot 4 of 9 from deep tonight. He finishes with 30 points. A lot of those buckets coming at the end when he was like kind of scrambling all by himself and making it close to a game. But yeah, I mean, he's decisive, attacking, rising up, got to the rim for a few good dunks, has a nice feel for off-ball movement on offense, does a great job pushing in transition off of a miss, usually by himself because nobody else is like used to doing that, because the team is so slow. The pace of this team is so painfully slow.
He's restricted. I can't remember.
He's restricted. Yeah,
he's restricted.
So they have to sign him. They have to sign him and they have to match. So the Oubre to me is a little less important of those three. It's like probably Grimes is number 1 for me, and then Yabusele, and then Oubre is pretty distant third, who I like. I would love if Oubre just picked up his option. That would be nice. Or if they could sign him to a long-term deal for like less money, that would be nice. But yeah, Grimes on defense plays hard, moves his feet, above average athlete, really just like what I expected it to look like across the board. I thought he was impressive as a passer. He's got a career high assist rate this season. That's not an accident. He's got better feel for the game. I'd like to see more like offensive schemes to get him like shots coming off screens, off movement, because he's good at it.
Yeah.
But they don't do offensive schemes.
No.
And yeah, with Oubre, his shot has been really, really bad. He was 2 of 3 tonight, which is good, but his shot's been so bad this season. Really has like crushed a lot of possessions and a lot of spacing and stuff. He should just constantly be cutting or standing in the dunker spot. He caught a lob from Jared Butler tonight in the dunker. That was nice. Yabusele didn't really play much tonight and didn't play very well. I wonder if he's a little banged up or just like the wear on him from the season is building up. But against guards, when he gets switched onto them or when he has to play the 4 with Joel, it's really obvious that like he can't move his feet well on the perimeter, like at all. It's so easy for guards to get by him. And I love Yabusele, and maybe the answer is just like he can play a couple minutes with Joel in certain matchups from time to time. But his long-term home is as like an undersized backup 5. We'll see.
And I also think that thing that you said at the beginning, like he's dealing with a knee, and also I think he's like, I just get the sense watching him, he has put every single ounce of energy into every second he has spent on the court, and it just has to take its toll, I think. Yep. And he's played a lot of 5. You know, he's played a lot of starting 5, by the way, which I think has probably beat him up a little bit.
For sure.
As well.
Absolutely. And Drummond has been bad. Out of the rotation.
Just awful.
Decides now's a good time to stand out by the 3-point line and take threes, which unsurprisingly he missed. He missed a lefty layup like I do at pickup. Pretty embarrassing. He's been in and out of the rotation because he sucks. He also has a player option for next year. We'll see what happens. Would be a gift if he didn't pick that up. And his decision making, like really the most frustrating thing for Drummond, I guess there's a couple of frustrating things, but the decision making on offense to me is like so ghastly. For a veteran big.
It's like he's doing it on purpose.
Rim rolling big.
Yeah.
To make such bad decisions and constantly take like weirdly difficult below the rim 2s is so strange and odd. And it's just like, maybe when he was so athletic that he could just overpower everyone, he was still like already rebound. He can get like 20 and 20 in his sleep. He can't do that anymore. He is like falling apart, and his brain is not, his basketball IQ is just like so low on that end. He does have good hands on defense and makes a couple plays here and there. But yeah, it's baffling. And I want to give a shout out to Justin Edwards, last one.
Yes.
Bumped up to a standard contract. They get him out of Philadelphia. Disappoints at Kentucky, gets a 2-way, undrafted, and he gets a standard contract. He's like a major rotation piece right now. I don't think he should start. I think he's too limited as far as like quickness goes and athleticism, but willing shooter, had a nice pull-up 3 in transition tonight. Had a few high IQ steals and passes. No insult to saying he shouldn't be starting, but like he's a rotation player. That's huge. Had a nice big lefty slam off a closeout. Hit a tough floater off another closeout. Has a nice little mid-range game, which when the offense falls apart, he can get you something that's nice. But there's like that's the frustrating thing, is there are like little rays of sunshine this season.
Oh yeah,
between Edwards and Yabusele, and maybe Jared Butler finds a home here as like the backup guard for a long time, and obviously McCain.
Dude, if I had told you that Jared McCain was the leader in the Rookie of the Year race, that they hit on Yabusele, that Kelly Oubre was even better than he was the year before, that Eric Gordon was the leading 3-point shooter on the team. Yeah, I like.
It's the main guys.
Yeah.
It's the main guys. It was Maxey not playing well the first month or so, and obviously Joel being out longer than they expected, and then getting suspended for touching Marcus Hayes, and then Paul George in and out, little injuries here and there, and now this one that he's gonna have to try to live with. And it's just been you have those guys to blame, the high money guys to blame. When you pay such a large percentage of your cap to those 3 guys, or any 3 guys, you need them to be great. Yeah. And they have hit on, obviously they missed on Kyle Lowry, shouldn't have given him that. They missed on Drummond. He hasn't been good. Maybe you could, scrutinize a couple other spots in the roster that you should have gotten other guys for, sure. I would like for Jeff Doughton to not be here anymore. I don't think he's adding anything. I'd like to give somebody who's like bigger, more athletic a try.
Those are all things that
But
you
those are
should be
small
able to
stuff.
miss on.
You need Joel to be an MVP candidate. You need Paul George to be one of the best number 3 options in the league, and you need Maxey to like be a way better decision maker and shot maker than he was that first month and a half. And now Maxey, at least until he was scoreless for most of the game, to be scoreless most of the game and then also like get the last shot drawn up for him. It's like, what is going? If he's hurt, why is he in? Jared Butler's playing great. Like I felt more comfortable with Butler in there than Maxey at that night when he clearly didn't have it. Just an atrocious season, and everyone should wear it's like a stain on them for the rest of their lives.
CJ, before I talk about BodyBio, can you say the thing?
Yeah, the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Oh,
wow.
Hell yeah.
Oh, unbelievable.
That's great.
We love BodyBio. BodyBio is a family-owned and operated supplement company in Jersey, and we love them. By the way, and you don't get this service, but I get the Mike. I don't know if you get this service. I get the Mike from BodyBio personal. Hey, I'm feeling like this. What should I take? Thing where I text them, and I'm like, hey, I need to get rid of a cold, man. What do I do? Or this, that, or the other. But that's what kind of people they are. They help me out when I need it. BodyBio does make great products. They care about the quality of the products. They test every batch that goes out, which a lot of these supplement companies don't do. You walk into the drugstore, you see a shelf for them. I can promise you they're not doing what BodyBio is doing. The product that they are best known for, we've talked about butyrate, we've talked about Elite, we've talked about liposomal vitamin C, which I take. But the one that they're best known for is called PC, which stands for phospholipid complex. And what you take into your body that you don't know you're taking into the body that are out there in the environment is a lot. Pesticides, mold, Mike had to deal with wildfire smoke, microplastics, all that stuff. And you can try as hard as you want, but you cannot avoid that stuff. And how much that stuff affects you depends on how healthy your cells are. And BodyBio cares about your cells. So your cells are like tiny little decision makers, and they're supposed to let the good stuff in, like nutrients and stuff, and keep out the bad stuff. And if they get sick or when you get older, that sort of stuff, they do worse at doing that. And what PC does, phospholipid complex, is it helps keep your cells strong and healthy so they can protect you from the bad stuff and keep in the good stuff. That's all. You should try it. And you can get 20% off any of these products, Elite, liposomal C, butyrate, anything, if you go to bodybio.com and you use promo code Norman. That is Norman. It's named after CJ's dog. It's Norman is the promo code, bodybio.com. So before we get to the Eagles, we did get this voicemail to 833 Lickface.
Hi, Mike, CJ, Jeff from Dunmore. Shout out Vic Fangio. Watching this game, hate the fucking Sixers. Just curious, I've seen probably about 20 tribute videos to Hubie Brown, and we're getting towards the end of the game here, about 1:30 left, and I have yet to see Mike's tribute video to Hubie. So just curious where that went. And Mike, if you have any comments on Hubie's retirement, I'd appreciate it. Fuck Sixers.
Mike?
Look, man, when it started, I was like, oh, this is nice. This is nice that they're being sweet to him. This is nice that he's been around the game. He clearly loves the game. I do have an issue with a lot of announcers that just clearly don't.
And he fucking loves
basketball.
Hubie Brown fucking loves
it. And Hubie loves it. God bless him. Yeah. I just don't think that he should be allowed to call games into his 90s when he says things like, I've never seen Kyle Kuzma play. He said that on the broadcast.
Did he?
I've never seen Kyle Kuzma play. Been in the league 8 years. Won a championship. Said he'd never seen him play. And he's just like...
But he's done now.
I know, but it was crazy that he was doing it for this long. It was crazy that he was doing it for this long.
It was so nice.
And the montage, I'm sure all the broadcast partners love him. I'm sure the guys that did it with him. And it was just it became so much. It was you don't do that much for players. That's more of a tribute than I've seen to most players.
But
ever.
He's probably not even going to be alive that much longer. So
and that's the thing is that if he spent less time traveling to random places in airports and just took care of himself and watched games at home and occasionally been hey, we got Hubie Brown here, the way the Phillies occasionally bring Chris Wheeler in to say something
well, just Chris Wheeler's much younger than
you. I know. I'm not saying there's not.
Okay.
It was just the idea of Hubie can join a broadcast from time to time for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
instead of doing what he's done, which is like, huffing and puffing and trying to barely getting through a sentence.
I can't believe
and
you're doing this
groaning.
after the poor guy retired.
Well, I thought it was nice until I realized they kept doing it, and it was like it just reaffirmed that he shouldn't have been doing this whole time. I know I'm the bad guy here, but like,
yes, you are.
and everybody else is like, Hubie, God love him, he should do it for 5 more years. Doc Rivers during the game saying you could keep going. It's like, no, he can't. Let's be honest. No, he cannot. This
And by the
man
way,
is
Doc
not
Rivers,
well.
You should stop too while we're at it. Doc Rivers.
Sure.
While we're at it, you should also retire.
Yeah.
I was sort of ambivalent about Hubie Brown, and then I watched that broadcast, and I was like, he really loves this shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
just,
And then it just kept going. It's fucking Dave Pash doing like the
2.5 hours.
sixth commemoration video. Ridiculous. Come on, guys. There's a game going on. I know the Sixers are the worst team in the league, but like,
Wouldn't you rather hear about Hubie Brown than the Sixers? I would.
absolutely. I think they should have televised another game. That's not. Don't give me a false choice.
Yeah. We did lose to the
Bucks
Bucks
without
without
Giannis.
Giannis.
Yeah, they've lost to everyone without all their best players. It's been
Yeah.
very impressive. The season
Yeah.
is over and they're horrendous and they should be embarrassed and everyone should be many people should be fired. Many people should be if you're going to buy out anybody buy out, please let them go somewhere else. Just get young people in here that don't know how bad the Sixers are.
So,
The Eagles.
a couple minutes on the Eagles. Let me ask you this about the Eagles. Because I think we said this because everybody said the same thing before the game. And I think we said this is one of those things where everyone said the Eagles are the better team, but they're still the Chiefs. And so it's probably going to be close because they're the Chiefs, even though we're the better team. And that's what everybody thought going into the game. But after the game, or while they were kicking the shit out of them, I thought to myself, I should have known they were going to kick the shit out of them. Like, the Chiefs scored 22 points a game this year, had a mid-pack defense. And yeah, they had Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, blah, blah, blah. But I just felt like all the signs were there that the Eagles were going to kick the shit out of them. And I was so scared of Patrick Mahomes, I didn't see it. And as they were kicking the shit out of them, and by the way, when I get really into a sporting event, it doesn't happen a lot nowadays, but when I get really into it at home, I'll yell and Rebel will run away because he doesn't like when I yell. It was the Cooper DeJean pick six. He never came back.
Yeah, I jumped up.
Cursing.
We had some people over. John Gonzalez was here with his dog Dasher, and I jumped up and accidentally kicked Dasher in the face. And so
no!
I didn't see Cooper's touchdown, the first one, because I was apologizing to Dasher
the dog.
during the run back.
No!
As I did that was upsetting. Dude, unbelievable, man. This is sick.
Get out of him.
What a fucking great thing to happen.
Yep.
And it's validating, obviously, validating for Jalen, validating for Sirianni.
Yep.
Plenty of people didn't believe in both. I definitely didn't believe in Sirianni. And he's gone to 2 Super Bowls in 3 seasons. I mean, the defense, incredible, not having to blitz one time and getting to Mahomes as much as he did. It was sick watching him be as scared in the pocket as he was. He was dancing all over the place.
Dude, think about this with the defense.
Yeah.
All anybody said before the season was, we know the offense is going to be awesome. If the defense can go from worst in the league to mid-pack, that would be great.
Yeah.
They were the best defense in the NFL,
Yeah.
and they kicked the shit out of Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Unbelievable. And they lost some guys. Obviously, like, it was good to see Brandon Graham there. Drew a holding. Got to like at least made flush Mahomes out a couple
Love
times.
PG. Shout out to PG.
And how about fucking Oren Burks, who got absolutely owned last Super Bowl by Mahomes, comes in from Nakobe Dean and has a great game. He was great.
Yep. He was good in the Washington game too. I'm
happy for him. I'm happy that Trotter Jr. gets a tackle, does the axe.
Yep. Jalex Hunt did the Trent Cole.
That was sick. And wearing the same number.
Love Jalex Hunt. By the also Ike Reese's number. Also 58, by the way.
It was just like such a wonderful thing of just a culmination of everybody being like just playing up to their potential and being as confident in themselves and the system. I love that Kansas City was like, we're going to take out Saquon, and the Eagles were just like, okay. And they win.
Yeah.
It's just like Jalen made the throws. That bomb to Devontae was nasty. I mean, I love the offensive line just giving Jalen a clean pocket all day.
Yeah.
He had all the time in the world to
and that was the first time that Saquon felt like truly bottled up,
Yeah.
you know, and it must have been frustrating. We had Milata on the show today, and it must have been, we asked him about it. It must have been like frustrating for them because they pushed around everybody so much, but you could see their effectiveness when they passed it. You know what I mean? Like nobody even, I think they pressured Jalen like 3 times, and 2 of them were like all out blitzes. One was the interception, and then another one, he missed AJ. Like there was a miscommunication on the line, but they had a blitz to get to Jalen.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Nolan Smith, incredible. I
How
mean,
about a
Jalen
touchdown
Carter.
from Jahan Dotson?
That was dope. Yeah, my nephew had John Dotson first touchdown, and he goes down at the 1 foot line. That's so brutal.
So Val doesn't like football, but once a year she watches a game and she bets. So she's like, I need you to help me out on some DraftKings stuff. So I'm like, all right. So I told her, and she bet. She had Jalen Hurts first touchdown score, which she made all her money back. And I was like, what other bets did you do? Well, and I also had to explain to her when it looked like Dotson scored, but you saw what happened. I'm like, you're going to get Jalen first touchdown. And she's like, why? And I said, because they're going to say it's not a touchdown. And then they're going to line up, and Jalen Hurts is going to hold the ball, and they're going to push him from behind into the end zone. And she's like, they're allowed to do that? I was like,
well,
remarkably, they are allowed to do it. But somehow she got another prop. She must have read it wrong. I was like, what else did you bet? And she was like, that Barkley and Brown are going to get 2 receptions every single quarter. And I was like, what were the odds? And she was like, really good. I was like, it's impossible. So I hope they were good.
Wow.
Yeah. Jake Elliott made every kick.
Good for Jake, and a couple that didn't even count.
Yes,
because they got called back. That was
He's
nice. I was worried about Jake, and I'm glad they got to have a nice Super Bowl. I mean, they dumped the. I wish that it was 40-6. Like that would have been a nice for it to be like.
Oh,
the fact
spiritually
that
it was 40.
I think everybody knows it, but I just still don't like seeing 40-22. It's like it's just not enough for me. But, yeah. I mean, when the Phils won in 08, when the Eagles won in 17-18, it was so stunning the way that it happened.
It almost doesn't seem real
with Foles and like that crazy game against the Pats, which was just a wild game to win the way they did at the end. And when the Phils, that I couldn't even really react to it. And the Phils in 08, like it became a, we're going to beat the Rays. Like this is, the Rays are not that great of a team. They had good players, obviously, but they were young, and it just felt like this is going to happen, and we're going to beat Tampa Bay, and not an imposing figure. I really wanted to beat the Yankees the following year because that would have felt like, yes, we've defeated someone that really matters. Obviously, he plays in front of you, whatever. I'm not. It felt just like slightly not as good then, and I didn't fully get to take it in with the Pats Super Bowl over the Patriots because of like how weird it was. That this one was just like, we are the best team.
Yeah,
we can beat you in so many ways. You have there's just not weaknesses to exploit. The Chiefs are one of the best teams of the modern era. Maybe the best quarterback of all time. Maybe one of the best coaches of all time. And to beat them the way they did in the Super Bowl was just massively satisfying. And I'm going to smile and laugh about it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it was a wild game. All right, I want you to do this. I'm going to give you 4 Eagles free agents, and I want you to rank them from 1 to 4 in terms of importance to Mike to keep this free agent.
Number 1, Zach Bond.
Okay, so here are the 4. Zach Bond.
Yeah.
Josh Sweat.
Mm-hmm.
Milton Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Mekhi Becton.
I think Steen can probably fill in for Becton pretty easily.
Reasonably,
they didn't
Guard's
seem to,
not the most important, you know.
And they didn't seem to just drop off when he was there. But if Mekhi seemed to just like love it here, and he's been through so much that I do think that if there's some like natural even point, or maybe they think that like Mekhi could eventually take over for Lane or something. I don't know if because obviously he started as a tackle.
Yeah.
So I haven't thought too much about it, but yeah, I would probably say Milton Williams and then Sweat. Even though I love Sweat, it feels like Milton is on the way up and Sweat is just a little bit less dependable. I love both those guys though.
I'm talking myself into Sweat being the most important.
Well, I mean, they certainly like Bryce Huff has not been good.
Yeah.
And
you need 3, right? You need 3 edge guys. So you can't count on Bryce Huff. Nolan Smith, okay, great.
Incredible.
But then, I don't know.
Whichever you keep, the other position you draft in.
Yeah.
Well, Jalix, I would say, is the other one with.
Right,
with
Jalix,
Nolan
yeah.
Smith. And so, yeah, the other one you draft. So I think first 2 rounds to me, you just go full Eagles, full Howie, and go offensive line, defensive line. Just like keep going, keep adding to the advantage. And so whichever if you can keep Milton or Sweat, then the other position you draft.
Okay. CJ, any opinion on it?
I love Zach Bond though, dude. You gotta keep him.
Yeah, it's just I know they talk themselves into that they can get another linebacker.
They can't.
You got TJ Edwards, you got Nigel Bradham, like
why risk it?
Yeah.
Siege.
I'm just feeling great, man. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. What
That's
a pleasure.
true, baby.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I
Can't
also
wait for
don't like. Yeah, I agree. That's important to remember and repeat over and over again.
Yeah.
I saw the clip of you and Ike talking about like you're already thinking about next year. I honestly like. I don't. I mean, I care because I enjoy this team and I enjoy the guys and I want them to have success again. But like, I don't care, dude. Like we won the Super Bowl is great. I was just barely starting to get to like feel like okay, 2018 was a long time ago, and now I'm like, oh god, I'll see you in 2030 before I start getting mad about the Eagles.
Well, so here's a little behind the curtain thing. So you're talking about what you want to talk about on the radio after the Super Bowl. You want to have like a compelling thing to think about, but also you can't be negative about anything at all because everybody's happy. So you're just like trying to find these sort of like things that we can talk about that are fun that like isn't going to bum anybody out at all.
Yeah.
So that's
no
what
reason
we're
to.
talking about. Yeah.
I think that's very much a factor of your job.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
as far as like if you divorce like filling radio time to the team and generating content and stuff, it's just like, man, what a delightful thing. Andy, my brother, was texting me the other day about like
Tough Andy.
they're gonna make us go to Australia and it's bullshit. I was like, Andy, we're in the Super Bowl. Who gives a shit, dude?
I don't think
Who
we're
gives a
going to
shit?
Australia.
This is before. This is before that.
Okay.
Before that.
Okay.
But I was like, I don't care. I think this doesn't matter. Wake me in September.
I do think as soon as the weird thing about 17 was that like Ike brought this up was that even though they won the Super Bowl and it was great and all that stuff, there was like that weirdness of the quarterback thing.
Yeah, I thought
We
that
don't
was a
have
great
any
point.
weirdness here.
No.
And from that perspective. So I think the reason that I started thinking about next year already is I think as soon as we get a rumor about something, there will be excitement for it. Like that 17 Super Bowl was like so singular. I'm interested in who they hire for OC. Like I'm like all that stuff I'm interested in. I'm interested in like trading for Myles Garrett.
I don't give a shit. Hire the kid that AJ Brown visited in the hospital. Let him be OC. Call the plays. I don't care, man. Fucking victory lap. We won the goddamn Super Bowl. Beat the Chiefs. No three-peat. That kicks ass. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it makes me think like, yeah, how lucky we are to get those 2 Super Bowls. Would have been nice to get one of those Phillies ones over the last few years. It's a shame that they didn't get one. And then the Sixers, man. We're not gonna have to worry about this, but like you do start to think like, okay, well, what would it feel like if this ever happened for the Sixers? And as bad as it is now, this is obviously the worst that it's ever felt.
Yep.
About the team.
About any team.
There's been about any team ever. There's been I posted this morning, but like I really did think, and you know this, you've been doing podcasts with me long enough, you know I'm like sort of naively optimistic about a lot of things, or like the most upset man in the world. I really did think that this Sixers era was heading towards a championship. It just felt like narratively the way that things should go, the way that they went for Giannis, the way that they went for Jokic, like eventually we're going to get one. Maybe we don't get 3. Maybe it's not a dynasty that justifies all the pain before, but you're going to give me 1, or at least 1, like come really close to it. And the fact that we're looking at it right now and it's like probably not, like overwhelmingly probably not.
Yeah.
Is such one of the yet another time where you just look at yourself in the mirror and go like, what the fuck? Why have we been doing this? Why did we paint ourselves in this corner? I talked about the Sixers in therapy this week. It was the first time. And I was like, okay, how do I explain it to
You had never
her?
talked about it before?
It's a relatively new therapist over the last couple months. And yeah, I'm like, okay, so I explaining the podcast, explaining how long we've been doing it, explaining the process, explaining Joel, and we're out of time. All right, see you later. I was like, just listen to the podcast. Just listen, see what you got. Tell me if you have any thoughts about how I act on there. But no, man, it really is. It would be so disappointing to go through. I'm happy. I'm obviously, most Sixers fans are also Eagles fans, so you are at least feeling joy about that.
Yep.
But it would be so. What a gut punch! What a stare into a void for a full year. It would be if it just ends, and the Sixers are, whatever the Hawks are now. Obviously, the Hawks are above us in the standings, so it's not.
They're
but just
better
the
than
idea
us.
of not hopelessly, and the Hawks have made a conference finals, which we remember. But a random team that just putts around and wins sometimes and loses most of the time, and just sort of maybe they get a guy that's interesting, maybe they sign a guy that's not that good, and they just sort of exist, which is what the Sixers were from 2013 to 2003 to 2012, just a random nothing team. And it felt like we were on a path to finally getting that, even through all the ups and downs. And you need the downs to make the ups feel as good as they could possibly feel. But they're just no more ups. We're out of ups.
Yeah, it hasn't been an up since the offseason.
Yeah,
Jeremy McCain had a couple of moments.
There's been little things, but as far as, okay, this is happening, it's just God, dude, it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks that we spent the amount of time we spent talking about it, and it really is a massive bummer that the idea that this era could end without where the closest they came to seriously contending was going up 3-2 on Boston.
Yeah. And then shitting themselves in game 6 and 7.
Yeah.
But the Eagles did win the Super Bowl.
And the Eagles did win the Super Bowl, so that we have
again.
That. And
the Eagles have won the Super Bowl twice since we've been doing this podcast, and the Sixers haven't got past the second round.
Yeah.
They've been to 3 Super Bowls since we started doing this podcast.
Yeah.
The Phillies have been to the World Series. The Eagles have been to 3 Super Bowls since we started doing the podcast, and the Sixers have not beaten one good team in the playoffs.
Not one. Not one good team in the playoffs.
We picked wrong.
We did
as far as teams go.
Yeah.
Well, All-Star break, no Sixers for a week.
Yeah.
That's
kind of catchers.
Yes, reported today. I heard Jack said Taiwan hit 89 on the gun today.
Don't. Yeah. Yeah, it's Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Eagles won the Super Bowl. We'll talk to you next time. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, lick face.